Alright, quick post-fight toss to Joshua Buatsi, Dan Azeez. Joshua Buatsi wins a 12-round unanimous points decision. Pretty much got the fight I expected. I did expect it to be a little bit faster at the start. I did expect that, but that didn't happen. Overall, it wasn't a bad fight. It was a decent fight. Um, I'll get to the knockdowns now in a wee bit, but let's just start this fight from the get-go. First two rounds were very dull. I mean, I was looking at the first two rounds thinking, oh no, please tell me this isn't going to be how the fight is going to go, because it was like a sparring session. Neither guy really wanted to commit to anything. Joshua Buatsi, I felt, was landing the cleaner shots, the more eye-catching shots. That's why I gave him the first two rounds. And again, it was a real feeling out type of affair. Both guys have sparred several rounds, so they know one another quite well. And sometimes when you have sparring partners and they're very familiar, you get into that rhythm where it's just, you're going through the motions. And I was worried, would we get that? The third round, caught life. Both guys landed big shots. Both guys started exchanging. I felt Dan Azeez got the better of it. And then again, Dan Azeez, he had moments early on in the fight where he looked good, but he made some big mistakes. Not necessarily technical mistakes. He made the mistake of letting Joshua Buatsi warm into the fight, and he let Joshua Buatsi fight the fight at his pace. He didn't fight the fight at Dan Azeez's pace. He let Buatsi fight it at Buatsi's pace. That was always going to suit him. Dan Azeez needed to be pressuring more. He needed to be using his jab more, because he was having success with the jab when he was using it, but he just wasn't active enough. You see late on in the fight, when Dan Azeez got a bit more active, he had success. Now, Buatsi is a very good jab, and he's got a great left hook. He also picks those body shots very well, does Joshua Buatsi. He was doing it in this fight as well. Never really did I see Dan Azeez in any serious trouble early on in the fight anyway. It was just Joshua Buatsi going through the motions, outboxing, picking up the rounds on Dan Azeez. Round about round 9, at this point, Joshua Buatsi, you would have him in the lead. Now, you would give rounds like the third round and the sixth round to Dan Azeez. You might chuck one of the first two rounds. I personally didn't, but someone might chuck him the second. I know Sky were very complimentary of him in the second round. So you could have a fight where, Buatsi is ahead, but Dan Azeez is right there on his tail. Into round 9, that's when the pace started getting up by Dan Azeez, and I felt that he won the 9th and the 10th round quite clearly. And I was thinking, okay, we're looking at a grandstand finish. I wish Dan Azeez had did that earlier. Having said that, by the 12th round, he looked so fatigued, you kind of thought, okay, he probably couldn't have done that earlier, because he wasn't... If he'd done it earlier, he would have been more susceptible late on. He really had to pick and choose when he put his foot on the gas. Is that stemming from the fact that maybe he did the weight wrong because he only weighed 172 pounds? Did he overtrain in camp? Because when you see guys make weight that comfy and they're a career light heavyweight, you do raise a bit of an eyebrow. You look and think, you came in, 3 pounds underweight? It's normal to come in maybe a pound underweight, but nearly he was 172, I believe. You wonder, did he overtrain? Did he lose a bit of muscle mass? Did he leave it all in the gym? Because Dan Azeez, I would associate him with having a particularly good engine, and late on he did seem to really fall by the wayside in terms of his stamina. Now, one of the big talking points of this fight is going to be the ring. More specifically, the advertising that was on the ring. You had the Sky Sports logo and stuff like that. Dan Azeez seemed more affected than Buatsi, but Buatsi did seem affected too. For whatever reason, it seemed to really lose the fighter's balance. There was a moment, I think it was the 5th or 6th round, maybe it was the 7th, where Dan Azeez, Joshua Buatsi threw a shot. It didn't land, or if it didn't land, it barely touched him. But he lost his balance, and it made it look like Dan Azeez was hurt. And Buatsi kind of stepped on the gas. And then there was moments where Buatsi, you were looking and you were like, what's going on here? And you saw over the course of the fight, they had to get guys in there over the course of the rounds to really scrub them down. I was thinking, what the hell? What the flipping hell is in them that's making these fighters, have no balance in there, lose their footwork? Going to the 11th round, and there was 2 knockdowns called against Dan Azeez. At this point now in the 11th round, I thought he was winning the round, or he was closer, but I thought he was winning it. You're thinking, okay, could he get back into this? Could he reel it in? And then he gets 2 knockdowns scored against him. Personally, for me, those 2 knockdowns are very harsh. Yeah, there were shots going in, but I think it was genuinely Dan Azeez just losing his balance. I don't think he was, and you could see he was fighting back straight away. I don't think he was concussed. I don't think there was any I don't think it was the punches that caused these knockdowns. It was just purely, I don't know what boots Dan Azeez was using. They probably didn't have as good a grip as Buatsi's. He was just losing his balance. It's as simple as that. And I think the referee really should have called him 2 knockdowns. It wouldn't have mattered in the grand scheme of things, judging by how the judges scored it. At the very least, Joshua Buatsi would have won by a majority decision because how wide he was ahead in the scorecards. But, you do look at that and think, that was a bit harsh. But then in the 12th round, he did hurt Dan Azeez, Joshua Buatsi did, and hurt him bad. I actually thought the referee was going to maybe jump in and stop, because the way in the UK they tend to jump in quite early. They didn't. I think Joshua Buatsi kind of sold out with that combination as well, because I don't think he had much left. Dan Azeez certainly didn't have much left. They did fight to the final bell, and everyone knew Buatsi had won. No issues with this decision, no anything. It was competitive without being close, if that makes sense. Dan Azeez had his moments, had his rounds. You could give him maybe about 4 rounds, but it was a Buatsi fight. He now moves on to challenge potentially for the WBA Light Heavyweight World Championship. Whoever the champion is at the time, we do not know. That unification is set to take place in June. Could he get a shot at Dmitry Bivol? Could it be Yarde Beterbiev? We'll have to wait and see. I like Joshua Buatsi, but I don't think... Here's the thing. Those 2 guys at world level, he's not beating either of them. I wouldn't pick him over either of those. But it's very thin on the ground after that. So yeah, he could easily pick up a world title, considering there's hardly anyone there at world level with light heavyweight. So we'll wait and see what happens there. Dan Azeez could potentially pick one up as well, because it's, very thin on the surface. I do wonder what happened in his camp. Did he overtrain? Was there something? Because that weight was strange. It was an eyebrow raiser. It definitely was. And in terms of the card itself, it was alright. It was still fairly dull. It just... Something about these Sky shows is just... They're very void of life. There's very void of any fun in them. They're just dead. They really are. And I think the fighters feel it. It's just so bad. Honestly, I don't know whether it's Shalom or Sky or a bit of both, but they need to do something on the production end. Seriously, on these shows. They're horrible. Absolutely awful. There's just no fun in them. It's just so bland. Adam Smith would feel right at home in. That's why I'm surprised he's left Sky. He'd feel right at home in them. Honestly, so bland. Or actually, never mind Adam Smith. Mike Costello. Mike Costello would be like, I might have some charisma here. Seriously. But in terms of the show itself, they announced a couple of fights: Riakporhe versus Billum Smith. They also announced Fabio Wadley versus Fraser Clark at the O2. That's ambitious. Look, both fights are alright. I'm not really fussed about the Clark fight, because I think Wadley's going to win that fight pretty easy, but could be proven wrong. In terms of Joshua Buatsi, he'll move on. Dan Azeez can still come again. I know he's 34, but again, it's very thin on the surface and light heavy. So let's see what he does. I'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button, people. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And for now, I will talk, as I'll leave you with that. Peace.